Hey guys, for most of you in this room, this isn't helpful at all. You've already got this figured out. But from some of you guys that are new like me, maybe this will help you start to establish a little bit of a routine. We won't take long. I'm going to point out about 2 or 3 things that I'm learning each time I look up the daily racing form. There's so much information in those things that you can, every little column tells you something, every little thing means something, and you kind of like daily fantasy sports research, you have to kind of pick and choose what means the most to you or what weighs the heaviest on your decision, because there's no way you can process all of that information. There's no way you can process all of our research stations. You have to pick and choose a few of your favorite stats and kind of go on those. Set a routine, test it for a while, see if it works, and then make little adjustments to it over time. Like you learn something about a stat and you see, oh, well, that tells me this, so then maybe you quickly check that and add that into what you're already doing. But there's just no way you can process everything across the board. I learned a couple of new things last night that I'm kind of incorporating that I think are pretty cool to what I'm already doing, but my routine's a little all over the place anyway. But the reason I'm showing you this page here first is this is race 2 at Oaklawn today, and all I'm doing is looking for the morning lines, the jockey and trainer combinations. I already know the names, Brad Cox and Diodoro. Those are the 2 best trainers right now at Oaklawn in their normal races. Not anything that got brought in for the Derby this weekend, but just for normal racing. And then I know a couple of the can't find them here, but a couple of the guys that are winning jockeys that they don't have anybody winning 20%, which is kind of a barrier to look for. They've got a couple at 18, 19%. Your Santana Juniors, Mojica's not bad. There's another one that I usually jump on when I see him. But either way, I'm looking for the combination, the jockey. That's going to help me narrow down a couple of things. But the first thing I'm doing is I'm writing these down. Race 1 or race 2 in this case, I'm looking for the lowest morning line. And I just want to see who they think are supposed to be really good. So I'd see 3 to 1. I'd see, is anyone better than that? There's 3.5 to 1, 6 to 1, 4 to 1. Okay, so those are probably the top 4 horses. I would say in this order: 1, 5, 11, and then where was that 6 to 1 horse? 10. So 1, 5, 11, 10. I write those down. I may include a 5th, but I write those down for sure. And when I write those down, I go double check and make sure that I'm not missing on some key, monster trainer. I'm going to write him down as well. And then that's it for this little section. I can see this faster and better than I can in the actual daily racing form. So when I kick over to the daily racing form, oh, and just as an aside, the reason why I'm at 4 or 5 horses, 80% of your winners come out of those top 4 morning line favorites. 80% of the time, those horses, the winner comes from those 4. 90% of the time from the top 5. So if you just study those guys, those 4 horses, 80% of the time you've got the winner right there. Now, sometimes it's at a crappy price, but you've got the winner, and you can sort of start to figure things out from there. If I go into the daily racing form, okay, I look at a couple of things. When I buy one from DRF, I'm learning that this news and analysis tab is pretty cool. I might read this. I might look at these, okay? And I'm looking for the consensus picks, 1, 8, 5. Well, I didn't have the 8. I did have the 11, right? I did not have the 8. I had the 1 and the 5. So I need to consider probably the 8 as well in what I'm looking at, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm learning how to sort favorites. And I'm learning there are 3 types of favorites. There's a false favorite, which is basically a bullshitter. There is a vulnerable favorite, which means he's not exactly a super strong pick. He could be had. And then there is a strong favorite that you should not really bet against. They check all the boxes. They're the class of the race, etc. Typically, you're going to bet with the favorite if he's a strong favorite. And that's the morning line favorite. You're going to typically bet with him. Now, you're going to, at a bad price, maybe include some exactas or something with him for some leverage. But you're also going to look for those underneath guys like the 11 or the 5 or the whatever. You're going to try and find how that's going to play into the exactas if you get a crappy price on that strong favorite. If you don't get a crappy price on the strong favorite, say you get even 6 to 5 or 2 to 1 or 3 to 1 or something like that, you've probably got an okay price that if he's that strong of a favorite, you can just go ahead and bet with it and rock and roll. Now, maybe you're like me and you like to look for other little sneaky things. You always, the favorite wins 30% of the time. So you typically need about 3 to 1 on your money. However, you don't want that price because, at 2 to 1, it doesn't come in often enough to pay you and be profitable long term. So you like to do what I'm learning to like to do, which is look for a bigger odds, a lesser odds favorite and bet on that guy. So who do I like second? Who do I like third? That's when I kind of need a vulnerable favorite. So if I check the boxes in this number 1 horse in the second race that is the consensus favorite and the morning line favorite, comes back as a vulnerable favorite because he's got a couple of weak spots in his armor, then I'm going to look for those better prices on the 8, on the 5, on the 11, on the 10, whatever the other guys that I mentioned were. I'm going to look for them. I'm going to look for speed, and I'm going to look for time. I'm going to look for some pace. I'm going to look for some battles, whatever. It's things that I'm learning to look for. Okay, now on a false favorite that has a lot of chinks in the armor, I'm going to strictly bet against him. I may do it with some exactas, whatever. I may do it with, just a straight 2 or 3 horse pick, because if he's getting, say, crappy odds at, say, 4 to 1 or 5 to 1, and I might look for another horse at 4 to 5 to 1 and take a shot on that horse instead. That's a real brief way to kind of assess these things. Now, it didn't tell you much. When we dive into this, there are tutorials everywhere on what you're looking at as far as morning line, trainer, jockey records. When you hover over, will pop out and show you that Castellano here is 5 races and 0 wins right now with 2 shows. That's not great. But in the year 2020, he's 169 races, 24 wins for 14%. You're looking for guys that are up at 20% or over. You're looking for guys also that are below 10% and certainly below 5% as crappy jockeys. The trainer, same thing. You're looking at a 21% win rate here. And in 2020, you're looking at a 28 or 26% win rate, for the trainer. You can come all the way down here. This trainer section is interesting. It shows you in 61 to 180-day layoffs. See, there's a layoff here. February 9th was the last race. 61 to 81 days, 23% win for a $1.93 return on your investment. That's not bad. 25% on dirt, okay, whatever, route races instead of sprints, claiming races, whatever. These can be some tip-offs. These can tell you, this line here can tell you when a trainer, buys a horse and it's his first race off of a claim, how well he does, or how well he does when he won his last race, or how well he does when he goes from a long-distance race to a sprint, or how well he does when he switches from turf to dirt, or whatever. So double check those really quickly. It takes you 10 seconds to look at the horse. You might see something that you notice. You also see over here the jockey-trainer combination in 2019 and 20 in Oaklawn Park. They've only ridden 2 times together, this Castellano and Brad Cox. So there's no win, there's no money on there. But over this year, or over last year and this year, 2019, 2020, not at Oaklawn Park, 60 times for 22% win for $2 on the $2. I'm assuming it's $2.07 on a $2 bet, which is a profitable horse. If you just saw that every time you saw these 2 paired up and just bet it, within reason, he's got to have a shot at winning the race, but it's a profitable bet. All these things enter your mind. You can already see where you're starting to get overwhelmed. But here's what I wanted to point out, because there was a question here in our Slack forum about these numbers, the odds lines, the money lines, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And Ryan mentioned that, sometimes 2 to 1 pays $5, pays $6.20, pays whatever. How do you know that? It's this column right here. This column right here tells you a couple of things. This is the odds that the last race went off at for this horse. So he was 2.6 to 1. He was 3.9 to 1 in the second one. He was 25.2 to 1 in that third race. So those let you know how much the public liked him before, how much they like him now, and the little asterisk by their name shows you that they were a favorite. They were the odds-on favorite at post time. Okay? Now, we can look for a couple of things there. We can look for horses that generally get good prices. We can check them against their classes. And if they're dropping in class, like this is just a claiming 16,000 race, and this was an optional claimer at 40,000, so this is a little bit of a drop in class. Not huge. Coming out of G stakes is a big drop in class. This guy's tumbled a little bit. Doesn't mean he's any good. He might be falling out of form. He might be getting old and coming, on the downside of his career, whatever. But he might be a horse that's used to running against better class and drops down into another class where he can be more competitive, and all of a sudden he might be something to consider. These are things that you have to figure out for yourself. But you can see here that at this G stakes, he was a long shot, right? In this G stakes and these optional claimers, kind of a 3 to 1, 4 to 1 favorite. And down here in these other optional claimers, when he was in better form, boom, he was a winner. He was he was a favorite. I can scroll down this list and look for these as just one thing to check really quickly. Is here. This star here at 2.10 for Mo's Mojo doesn't mean that this is a good horse, but it means that back here, here's a trend a lot of people play. 2.1 to 1. That's where you get that funky 5 or 620 or whatever. It's not a straight 2 to 1 odds or 3 to 1 odds. It's a 2.1 or 2.4 or whatever 1 to odds, and that's what it pays from. And that's based on the pay pools, the win, the show, whatever pools. That's what's going to determine the price of this horse. They go into fractions like this. But when I see the asterisk by there and I know that he was the favorite, this horse was the favorite in that race. And look, he came in 4th. He got beat. This is an angle people play called the beaten favorite, and this is where they find it in the daily racing form. He was the favorite last time out. Odds are he is still a good horse, in good form. If there's not some long layoff, only a month, boom, he's still in good shape. He might drop in class, or he might, be pissed because he lost or whatever and try extra hard this next time. And guess what he did the next time out? Boom, he won. And he won at 7.7 to 1 odds. Yeah. Beaten favorites are definitely an angle to look for. Look at this. Perfect. These are 3 times the favorite. Beaten, so if you bet him here, whatevs. He was beaten again, bet him here, but he was the favorite again, and then he won on that 3rd race. Now, he wanted a bad payout, 1 to 5, something crazy like that, but he won. You can look here. Favorite, he was beaten, did not win here, but he's placed 2nd twice in a row, so he might be a good exacta type of horse. Scroll down a little bit more, scroll down a little bit more, scroll down a little bit more. Beaten, trash. There are a couple of races on this one there. Beaten favorite here at 2.2 to 1, placed 3rd, and then won the next race. Only won it at 2.4 to 1, but you'd take that tip. I think this is an angle worth pursuing. Now here's one right here, 13 today. I don't know that he's going to fit into this particular race, but at 1.6 to 1, he was beaten last time out and beaten badly. Now he's not in great form. And he's not racing down in class or anything. So I don't know that I would pay that much attention to this. But if I saw a horse that was still running good speed figures here, that was on the pace quite a bit, was in the money quite a bit, and then drew these odds as the favorite again, or last time out and lost, I might bet this horse with a good jockey-trainer combination or something like that, or just a couple of other factors that you might look for that might tell me, let's go ahead and take a shot on this beaten favorite, because this is what he was. He was a favorite last time out, and he got beat. So I come down here, 3, nope, that didn't work. So sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. There's another race in here that I was looking at earlier today, whether it was the 1st race or the 3rd race, I don't know, that has a lot of beaten favorites in it that did work over the history. So anyway, this doesn't mean much to a lot of you because you're way too advanced for this, but some of you that are learning like I am, every single one of these columns means something. Maybe someday we'll kind of go through those, but I literally just learned this last night, and I couldn't believe that I didn't know that was where that was. I hear people talking about it all the time. I did not know where to look in the DRF, and I finally found it. After, I don't know how many of these I bought, 4 or 5, and how many races I've sat and talked with guys about over the last 2-3 weeks, quite a few. So your process is going to be different than mine, but we're all on a learning curve. And the idea is to do the research and ask the questions inside Slack and pack as much of that learning curve in as you possibly can to shorten it up as fast as you possibly can. And you're going to learn something new every single day, just like when you were in 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade. It's just how it works. All right, guys, take care. We'll talk to you soon.